This is Alternative Political Analysis, and this video will be on Obama's approval ratings, and these are based on the latest polls from Gallup. He has a 49% approval rating, 44% disapproval rating, and 7% say they neither approve nor disapprove of the president. And among males, he has a 47% approval rating. Among females, he has a 51% approval rating. And this brings us on the polling by age. 18 to 29 year olds, he has a 61% approval rating, so he is popular with the youth of America. And for 30 to 49 year olds, he has a 49% approval rating. And among 50 to 64 year olds, he has a 46% approval rating. And among the over 65s, he has a 45% approval rating. And among the regions of America in the East, he has a 53% approval rating. In the West, he has a 54% approval rating, and that's the region where he is most popular. In the Midwest, he has a 47% approval rating. And in the South, he has a 45% approval rating, and that's where he is most unpopular, and it would explain the loss of representatives and senators at a state level in the South for the Democratic Party. And this brings us on to race. Among white people, he has a 41% approval rating. Among non-white people, he has 70% approval rating. Among Hispanics, he has a 62% approval rating. And among blacks, he has an 81% approval rating. And on the basis of polling by educational level, those with a high school education, he has a 48% approval rating, I beg your pardon. And among those with a college education, he has a 49% approval rating. Among college graduates, and that is a 46% approval rating. Among postgraduates, he has a 60% approval rate. And among all college graduates, the last college graduate statistic were those who went and graduated college, and that was the end of their education. Among all college graduates, when you include postgraduates as well, it's 52% approval rating. And among all non-graduates, it's 48% approval rating. So you can see he is popular with academia and well educated. And this brings us on to polling by monthly income. And those who earn less than $2,000 a month, he has a 55% approval rating. Among those who earn between $2,000 and $4,900 a month, 51% approval rating. Among those who make over $5,000 a month to $7.49 thousand a month, he has a 50% approval rating. And among those who make over $7,500 a month, he has a 48% approval was with the upper class, and he gets about half the middle class in terms of support. And this brings us on to polling by ideology. Among Liberals, he has a 79% approval rating. Among moderates, he has 58% approval rating. And among Conservatives, he has a 26% approval rating. And this brings us on to partisan party political polling. And among Democrats, he has an 82% approval rating. Among those who are independent, he has a 44% approval rating. And among Republicans, unsurprisingly, he has a 14% approval rating. And this brings us on to polling by party and ideology. Those who identify as Liberal and as Democrats, he has an 89% approval rating. And among those who identify as moderate Democrats, 81% approval rating. Among those who identify as Conservatives and Democrats, 67% approval rating. Among those who are independent, by independent of party and ideology, it's 43% approval rating. Among Liberal and moderate Republicans, he has a 29% approval rating. Among Conservative Republicans, he has just an approval rating of 9%. And this brings us on to voting by religious service attendance. And among weekly service attendees, he has a 39% approval rating. Among monthly service attendees, he has a 51% approval rating. Among non-attendees, he has a 57% approval rating. And this brings us on to polling by relationship status between, and he has an approval rating of 43% among married people and a 58% approval rating among single people. And this brings us on to polling by NORC and University of Chicago, and 32% of Americans say he kept promises. I would love to know which ones they are. And 44% of Americans said he tried to keep his promises but failed. I would love to see evidence of said attempts, but again, moving on to 22% of Americans who say he did not even try to keep his promises. And I agree with him, to be quite frankly. He didn't even try to push single payer or the public option with the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, and the limited coverage he did expand looks to be in danger of repeal from the Republicans. And this brings us on to another approval statistic in relation to President Obama. 49% of Republicans say he didn't try to keep promises made to the American public. And in the NORC and the University of Chicago poll, he had a 57% approval rating, and 52% said he was a good or great president. I'll have some of what they're drinking. 27% said he kept promise to unite America. Again, I'll have some of what they're drinking. And 41% say they're better off. That still leaves 59% of the country worse off. And 46% said he left America better off. Yeah, because nothing says better off like a $20 trillion debt that's